to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Hex.
And I'm Barjo. Plenty of new games this week. Lara Croft gets a top-down makeover with Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light.
And Kane and Lynch are back with the gritty sequel, Kane and Lynch Dog Days.
Plus, the developers of Shank say their game is all kill and no fill. We find out.
And we'll count down our 5 favourite opening game levels. But first, can you guess which console has this sound as its boot-up melody?
It's quite fun, isn't it? Answer at the end of the show. News time, Barjo.
If it pleases you.
Does please me.
Good game.
Sony Computer Entertainment Australia has taken legal action against local sellers of the Jailbreak, a USB dongle for the PS3 that gives gamers the ability to make backup copies of Blu-ray games to their PS3 hard drives. The Jailbreak also lets PS3 owners run alternate operating systems such as Linux and run homebrew applications, software not endorsed by Sony Computer Entertainment. The PS3 had previously been thought to be uncrackable, but this plug-and-play solution has forced Sony's lawyers to scramble to intercept all who sell it. In an interview with Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu, PlayStation hardware designer Teiyu Goto has finally revealed the meaning behind the button symbols on the original PlayStation controller. The triangle refers to viewpoint to represent one's head or direction. Square refers to a piece of paper to represent menus or documents, while circle and X represent yes or no decisions and were made red and blue respectively. Developer Danger Close has drawn on expert opinion in developing the new Medal of Honor game and its spin-offs. Not only were elite Tier 1 operators consulted in the design of the new first-person shooter, but an SAS veteran has been called in to handle the novelization. Chris Ryan gained fame and notoriety for his book The One That Got Away, a gripping account of his escape from the ill-fated Bravo 2 Zero Patrol during the First Gulf War. His new book titled Medal of Honor, the Book, will serve as a prequel to the events of the new video game based on the ongoing war on terror in Afghanistan.
Think he's gonna make it?
Get down!
And now, some follow-up on our story about the Team Fortress 2 Golden Charity. As you'll recall, a Team Fortress 2 player with the handle Wings was one of 100 lucky players to receive an ultra-rare Golden Wrench. When Wings told the world he decided to destroy it for charity, he caused a sensation. A dozen other Golden Wrench owners vowed that they would too delete their rare in-game items in an act of philanthropic solidarity. The wrenches have been deleted now, but it was all for a good cause. Gamers worldwide donated over $30,000 to the Golden Wrench charity drive, and every cent went to Child's Play, a non-profit charity that donates quality video games to children's hospitals. Well done, everyone. Bad news for employees of Ubisoft's Red Storm, formerly Red Storm Entertainment. 38 staff have been let go from the North Carolina development studio. Parent company Ubisoft has stated that the job losses are the inevitable result of a realignment of production priorities. Red Storm was founded way back in 1996 by the novelist Tom Clancy and changed the face of military simulations forever with the release of Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon.
Good game.
After the mediocre reception of the first Kane and Lynch, we had high hopes for some serious improvements in the sequel. In Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days, the pair have reunited in Shanghai for a job. But we should warn you here, like its prequel, Kane and Lynch 2 is an unfortunately short game, so it's really hard to review it without giving away spoilers, so consider this your official spoiler warning.
Sang-si not happy. He will kill every one of you.
Wanker, Lynch. All this because of you? Get back!
After a simple job goes awry, the badass duo find themselves wanted by the entire Shanghai underworld.
Oh, shit! What? What the fuck?
Poor Lynch seemed to have just started getting himself together as well. He seemed to have his mental problems in check, he got a girlfriend, settled down, and, it was all going okay besides the odd impulsive decision that led to unfortunate consequences.
I got him in my sight. Trust me. Kane, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you'll see none of those psychotic hallucinations from the first game, or really any of the unique story or characterization that was the defining feature of Kane and Lynch Dead Men. Here you've got a pretty standard shooter with some admittedly great-looking levels, but the gunplay is formulaic and the level design is actually a bit repetitive. This is good though. Ready?
We shot his goddamn daughter.
Groin. Head.
The game opens on a rather confronting scene, then throws you back 2 days earlier, leaving you wondering what could possibly lead you to such a horrible fate.
I just want to
but each following level just requires you to take out numerous baddies, kicking down doors again and again, and managing a pretty clunky cover system, and you just keep doing this over and over.
You then return to that same hardcore opening scene about halfway through the game, so once that mystery is over, it's basically just a push through more of the same towards a really abrupt and anticlimactic ending. There's one helicopter mission to break up the monotony, but that's about it.
They have done some cool things with the visuals, though.
I hope you're not talking about the naked level.
Fucking naked!
No, I'm talking about the grittiness of it all. They've really captured the heat, dirt, and bustling energy of Shanghai, and the whole game appears to be through a kind of grainy handheld camera, which really intensifies the action. It follows the pair around in quite a voyeuristic way, which creates a nice element of suspense. I found it annoyed me after a while though, Heck. So you can turn off the shaky cam visuals so you can aim a bit better, but you can't turn off any of the effects.
You know, I left it on. I actually really liked it after I got used to it. It was a cool effect. The only time it really bothered me was in split-screen co-op. Because your vision is essentially cut in half, the shaky camera effect is a little too much. There are a few times when I got separated from you and I was running around in circles and the camera was all over the place and where are you?
There's a decent variety of weapons, and ammo will be around the place for you to scavenge. A few levels will start you off running about the place without a gun, so you'll need to take a human shield or sneak up on a police officer to snag yourself a weapon. There's also your standard red barrels to explode or fire extinguishers to hurl and shoot. And enemies take heaps of bullets to go down, way too many.
Yeah, although I think even some of the dudes on our side were a bit invincible at times. As a result, you'll find yourself having to pop out from behind cover, shoot the crap out of an enemy, then retreat back behind cover, wait for your health to go up, shoot him again. It was really monotonous and it focused less on skill and more on stubborn perseverance.
Yeah, it's kind of the same deal as the first game, and I think they thought that because they have such a short game, just making it a lot more difficult will give it length, but really that just makes it feel a bit uninspired and bland. And how disappointing was that ending, Hex?
Oh, what ending? It was like the game just stopped and then the credits rolled. Boo, it felt like such a waste of time.
Stupid credits. The only redeeming feature is the multiplayer. There are 3 modes. There's standard cops and robbers, which is team deathmatch. There's also undercover cop, where one person tries to ruin the heist. But the most fun is the return of Fragile Alliance, which sees you and a bunch of your friends up against AI cops, trying to get some cash and get to an escape vehicle before it takes off. And it's really interesting how it twists on you here, though, because if you die, then you become one of the cops, so the odds stack up against you pretty fast.
I like the whole traitor and yellow card system for your teammates too, like to get their friendly fire on. And using teammates as enemy shields is always fun too. It was just a shame that a lot of our games were quite laggy.
Yeah, and to be honest, the multiplayer, it's too dark, and the animations of some of the goons seem to skip frames and jump about the place, kind of like the single player. It's a real shame because this game started off really gritty and edgy and felt different, and then just did nothing for 4 hours and ended. So I'm giving it 5.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, look, I definitely agree with you on this one. It's like they've done the reverse of what they should have done. They left in all the crap bits from the first game, but took out all the good bits. It's a 5 from me.
Good game!
For most people, playing games for a living must seem like a dream job. My name is Stephen Jude, and I'm just about to start another day doing exactly that, as a game tester at Chrome Studios in Brisbane. Of course, the most important part of any game tester's day is walking to get a coffee. I definitely need a coffee to play games all day. It's an essential for me. The first thing I do every day is to check the fast test plan to see what new bugs have been identified since I was last at work. This is how we keep up with the latest problems and fixes in our games. At 9:45 every morning, the team has a stand-up meeting where the development team gets together to talk about where the game is at, what needs to be worked on for the day, and what we need to achieve for the next release. After the meeting, I have to get straight into the job at hand, playing games. Oh yeah. At the moment, I'm an embedded tester, so that means that I work right beside the development team. So if I do find a bug, I'm able to talk directly to the team and that problem can be identified quickly. Of course, there are a lot more testers than just me at Chrome. Okay, it looks like I may have found a bug here in this game we're testing, which is Blade Kitten. These enemies weren't here in this area the last build that I played, so what I'm going to do is I'll head over to the QA department and just have a quick chat with them, and they'll be able to verify if it is an intended change or not. So I'll go do that now. At the moment, Chrome are working on so many games that we have a QA team working day and night in 2 shifts, with the main QA team working in an entirely different building. These guys are part of the day shift, and if I find a bug in one of the games they're testing, I have to let them know about it. Of course, the life of a games tester isn't just playing games all day. A more accurate description would be that we play a part of a level over and over and over again. My job actually involves a lot of documentation. Every bug has to be entered into a database, and at the end of the week, I have to update a catch-up document, which is then sent to the quality assurance manager, so they know the current state of the games that we have in test. By the end of the day, there's just enough time for me to play some more games before I head off home to do it all again tomorrow. Is this the best job ever? You bet it is.
Lara Croft is gaming royalty. She's so famous that even the non-gamers that are left around the world have heard of her, and we don't really care about them. But now there's a new take on the Lara Croft Tomb Raider franchise, but it doesn't have Tomb Raider in the name. It's called Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light.
True to form, Lara seeks an ancient treasure, the Mirror of Smoke.
It is written that Zolot called upon the power of an artifact known as the Mirror of Smoke to summon forth a horde of unspeakable horrors from the abyss.
But when she finds it, a bunch of bad guys that have been following her screw things up, inadvertently releasing hordes of baddies. So it's up to Lara and her new co-op companion Totek to get the mirror back and restore order.
What a predicament. This is a mix of platforming, simple logic puzzles, and arcade-style dodge and shoot combat, all played from an isometric perspective, and it satisfies that craving, that urge to collect shiny things. I liked it, Hex. It took me back to the good old days. Lara has a few tricks up her sleeve. She has a spear, which helps her reach those hard-to-reach places. A handy grapple line, and also a variety of weapons from shotguns and rocket launchers to chain guns and more powerful shotguns.
She also has an endless supply of remote detonators, which have been cleverly worked into some of the puzzles. They're also good for moving balls around.
Yeah, she's big on ball management.
Mines are also useful in combat for taking out multiple enemies.
You're pretty much invincible when you roll about, barring fire. And in fact, rolling is faster than walking, so you just end up doing roly-polies everywhere. We finished this game in about 5 to 6 hours, but it does have replay value with all the collectibles that you can collect, and also the challenges that pop up and kind of taunt you to say, hey, maybe you should try this. And they also give you a reward as well, and I really like that.
More importantly, there's co-op missions as well, which really extend the length of the game, but you can't drop in and drop out. You have to start co-op right from the beginning, and the abilities are split up, so you really have to work together. The game sets a good pace with rewards. Solve a puzzle and you'll get some action and maybe a new weapon. Also, the challenge temples scattered about the place will give you some relics which allow you to customize your character traits a bit.
The game is only local co-op right now, but when the game gets released on PS3 and PC later in the year, a patch will come for the 360 version, so everyone can go online and have some fun.
It's a good-looking game, isn't it, Barjo? Especially when you take a step back to take in the view. Monsters are interesting to fight, and there's good variety of levels, and there's some really exciting moments too. You can see a lot of care has gone into the level design. They've done a good job of making you feel like you're finding your own path without letting you get too lost.
There's a lot of gaming language used here, just in the level design, like you'll see where to go because a door will open up in the foreground, and also there's a lot of little things to help you along the way, such as jumping from one platform to another. The game subtly tracks you onto that platform so you're not always slipping over the place. And it may sound small, but that stuff really matters. Our only niggle was that towards the end, some of the puzzles got a little bit repetitive, but other than that, I happily played this through in one sitting. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
If you're a long-time Tomb Raider fan, prepare to be surprised because this is nothing like the older games. But you know what? I really liked the makeover, so I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Well, okay, Alan Wake, I'm playing, I'm about 80% of the way through, but I binged it over a weekend to about 80% through, and I haven't picked it up again to finish it. I keep on meaning to go back, but I put it down about a month ago. I can't exactly remember the last thing I did, and I know I should just pick it up and finish it, because actually I really want to finish it because I've been really enjoying it, but I haven't yet.
Good game. Greetings, combat fans. It's the Hotshots versus the Icemen in a battle of strength, skill upgrades, and unstable performance-enhancing chemicals. Oh, let's get started.
Set in a stadium sports arena, Monday Night Combat is a downloadable shooter for XBLA, inspired by Team Fortress 2 and Tower Defense.
Monday Night Combat matchup. We've all been waiting for it, and it starts right now.
There are 2 battle modes. Blitz is a cooperative wave mode, which lets you play split screen as well as online, and sees you holding off a variety of robots as they all go for your cash ball.
Oh, tough luck.
And Crossfire, which is 2 teams, 2 cash balls, and human players on either side.
As you take out enemies, you'll earn more cash, which you can spend on upgrading your character each round, and also setting up turrets and upgrading them too. You can also spend cash to spawn more bots and activate other defenses, so there's lots of ways to tip the scale in your favour.
Basically, this is a tug-of-war strategy game, and it's really fun trying to work out where you want to spend your cash, on defense or on your own character. It all depends on who you're fighting and how the battle's going. Each class has a couple of different weapons and abilities, such as cloaking, remote detonator mines, jetpacks, plenty to keep you interested as you explore all their different strategies. Once I turned the control sensitivity down, it all felt quite good, and I think if you're a fan of class-based shooters and you're after something a bit different, this might be for you. I did find now and then when you got to that last kind of moment as your cash ball's getting destroyed, everything got a bit framey.
Some genre mashups like Puzzle Quest work really well, but others are a bit rubbish. This, however, is a good one. My only real complaint is that there weren't enough maps. It got a bit repetitive. It's a 7.5 from me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's not very friendly for newcomers either, but I don't know, I really dug it. I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
Good game.
Just like the opening chords of your favourite song or the hypnotic opening credits to a major motion picture, a game needs to start with something that'll captivate, entrance, or simply tease you into playing more. That's why a game's opening level is one of the most important elements.
We're not talking about those over-the-top cinematic cutscenes, but the first few minutes of in-character play. Should a game tell a story, teach you controls, or introduce you to characters? Let's take a look at what we think are the 5 best opening levels ever. It may easily be forgotten in this day and age, but the playable opening credits to the 1992 LucasArts point-and-click adventure, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, was a classic combination of the funny and functional.
All right, Jones, how you gonna find that statue and all this junk?
The game demanded a long list of technical credits, and what better way to deliver them than transform it into one elaborate interactive introduction. With Indy falling through the ceilings and floors of a dusty old museum as you solve the game's first few puzzles, it was a witty way of getting you hooked and reminding you why Dr. Jones was such a cool character. And that's why it kicks things off as our humble number 5.
With a gentle rumble of thunder and the soft patter of rain, A Link to the Past, the 3rd game in the Legend of Zelda series, opened the door in the world of Hyrule in gorgeous atmospheric SNES style. The way the game guided you from your little warm cottage to the rat-infested dungeons of a castle, slowly entrusting you with skills and exposing you to the mechanics of the world, was all done with unforgettable craft and style. It's not the flashiest start to a game, nor the most action-packed, but the subtle use of music and sound effects tied it all together to make it one of the most memorable first steps into adventure, and number 4 in our list.
From the intimate to the intense. If you like your games to grab you by the ghoulies and give them a good squeeze, then the terror and chaos of slowly reaching the shoreline and storming the beach at the start of Medal of Honor Frontline makes perfect sense at number 3 in our list. Frontline was blockbuster stuff, boasting incredible audio design and clever graphical effects to make you feel the fear of being a soldier on the front line of one of World War II's most legendary battles, the beach landing at Normandy on June 6, 1944. By the time you made it to the German bunker on the hill, you were battered and bruised, but glad to be alive.
Number 2 on our list of best opening levels is the artful introduction to the underwater dystopia of Rapture in the wonderful wet world of Bioshock. From the minute your plane plunges into the ocean, your head begins spinning with questions that won't be answered until you're well entrenched in the game's world. Stepping into the eerie bathysphere and getting delivered to the sea floor was mysterious, moody, and malevolently marvelous. This was the start of a saltwater saga and the single-player submersion to stand the test of time.
The original Half-Life on PC has by far and away one of the most important opening levels to a game ever.
Current topside temperature is 93 degrees.
The tram ride into the depths of Black Mesa and Gordon Freeman's fateful first day at work set the standard for years to come in terms of setting up a story, immersing you in a world, and easing you into the way to play. The opening sequence reached a crescendo during the flashbang madness of the science experiment gone wrong and its surreal consequences. This was a game that would be analysed by fans and mimicked by other developers because clearly it was awesome and our number 1 best opening level ever.
Good game.
Shank is an unapologetically violent and stylized 2D beat-em-up that takes influence from games like Ninja Gaiden and God of War.
Yeah, and Shank's story was actually written by God of War co-creator Marianne Krauzik, and well, it kind of shows.
You play the angry and burly Shank.
I'm looking for someone.
A man out for revenge for those who betrayed him and his family.
Set in a world that feels kind of like a spaghetti western and a kung fu film had an illegitimate love child. It's a classic tale of revenge, but it's told well through animated cutscenes that slowly flesh out Shank's backstory as you progress, although some of the voice acting seems intentionally bad.
Shank has returned.
Where is he now?
Heading this way.
I look forward to it.
It's not just the story that'll remind you of God of War. The combat system here has that same ability to make you feel like a total psycho killing machine. By stringing together grapples, light and heavy melee attacks, guns and grenades, you can perform a hugely satisfying variety of wince-inducing moves on anyone foolish enough to stand in your way. I especially love the way he handles a shotgun. So cool.
Yeah, and grappling a dude and shoving a grenade in his mouth just never gets old. I do have a few gripes though. Controls are generally excellent, but there were a few times I just wish that some of the animations were a bit snappier. I'd often be caught out waiting for Shank to finish some reload animation and I'd just get ganged. And when there were a lot of guys on the screen at once all ganging up on me, I'd lose Shank for a second amongst the chaos.
I didn't really find the dodge helpful at all, except for the last boss where it was the only way to beat him, and that was more an exercise in patience than anything else.
Yeah, the last boss was a bit lame, especially since some of the other bosses were so interesting, like this guy. Some of the enemies you fight are pretty unique too. I mean, I can't think of any other games that see you chainsawing through hordes of Uzi-wielding ninja ladies of the night.
There should be more.
Agreed. Shank is a good game, but it's just not in that, oh my god, you have to play this territory, which is a shame because I felt like it started out that way, but the feeling just faded as I played on. There's some of that God of War DNA mixed into the make-your-own-fun combat, and the visuals are unique. It feels like a cartoon come to life thanks to the use of traditional animators on the team.
The developers behind this game have all worked on big AAA titles, and they formed their own production company to get together and make something in a small downloadable space that was short and sweet and all kill and no fill, and I think they've done a good job here.
There is a co-op campaign, which is a whole new prequel story, but it's only local co-op with no online. Still, it's great fun to tag team enemies with a mate.
No one can help you. Those fuckers are probably dead by now.
Us fuckers are still alive, asshole.
Bosses in co-op get extra big life bars, which just turn them into painful grinds.
If you're a fan of 2D action games, then I think you'll get into this. It's fun, it's pretty, it's exciting, it's challenging, even on normal. So I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
There are incentives to play through this again, like leaderboards and unlocking costumes, but one playthrough was enough for me. I had a good time with it though, and I loved its style, so it's a 7 for me. So gamers, were you able to guess the mysterious gaming sound for this week? It was the lively boot-up sound of the Nintendo GameCube, which was released in Australia back in 2002. And with that, another episode bites the dust, but we shall return at the same time next week with that promising look at Hawks 2. Plus our impressions of the PlayStation Move and the 360's Kinect, plus its chop to drop time in Dead Rising 2. Thanks for tweeting tweeters. We do love to hear from you about the show. If the Facebook page or forum is a little too public, you can email by hitting the Contact Us button on our homepage. Until next time, gamers, may all your games be good ones. Marjo out. Hex out.